Have you ever completely surprised yourself? I am doing that right now. I always say never. I couldn't wait to record this video because I'm going to tell you the story of how I am getting ready to celebrate my 100th Aravaipa Running Race. Hey, this is Coach Lisa with the Running University, and I'm here to help you put the fun in your run. If you're back, I so appreciate you subscribing to my channel, and if it's your first time, hey, welcome. I am so excited about this because the last, I don't know, even several weeks, I've been really doing a lot of self-reflecting because I am about ready to approach my 100th Aravaipa race. I can't believe it. I remember when I started running in my late 30s, so I did start running later in life, that I swore I would never run, first of all. I swore I would never trail run because I'm one of the biggest klutzes. And then I started trail running. And then I swore I would never night trail run because that's just ridiculous. And that's now one of my favorite types of running, is being out on the trail at nighttime. I swore I would never be an ultra runner. That is somebody who runs over a marathon, which is 26.2 miles. I'm about ready to run my third 100K as my 100th Aravaipa race. And and here I am, a running coach now. Now I am getting people into this amazing, crazy sport that I never thought I would get into. And thanks to Aravaipa being one of the big reasons, there's many others, and other videos on that will be coming. But today I just really wanted to focus on the Aravaipa running company, because I basically started trail running, and they were one of the first races that I ever did. Actually, my very first trail race. And so just to let you know, this video is going to be just a bunch of memories that I have found over the last several years of my time with Aravaipa. So first of all, I remember my very first Wednesday night group trail run. It met at the park by the 202 at the top. And I remember, I think Jamil was actually leading the run at the time. My first trail race was in 2011, so it definitely had to be before that. And or maybe right around there, because I don't remember how much trail running I did before my first race at this point. But at any rate, there were maybe like 9 or 10 people, right? Now there's Monday night runs and Wednesday night runs, and we get, 40, 50, 60 people. So I have to say, it's been very cool as a runner and coach to grow myself as a runner and grow my business with Aravaipa. So I'm going to bring you down memory lane with me. And so here's this right here is my very first bib from an Aravaipa race. It was the 26K at Pass Mountain, and it was in 2011. And I remember it very clearly for a couple of reasons. First of all, I had just come back from my very first Chi running and Chi walking instructor weekend the weekend before. And it was the first time I got to meet Danny and Catherine. I'm all into the Chi, learned so much that weekend, and here I am going into my very first trail race the week later, which was awesome. Just a great time. I thought I had actually come as one of the last people. I was towards the back of the pack, but I was not last. All fine, but I do remember it being hard because it was my first trail race. And also the other cool memory I have about that is my dad's an avid bike rider, and he rode his bike from Mesa all the way out to Usery, which is where the race was, and came to meet me and just found me. It's all on trail, but at one point you end up on the road to get back to the finish, and he found me and he basically rode me in, and there's that picture right here with my pops. Then one of my next big milestones is the Elephant Mountain 50K, which I did in 2014. It was February 22nd. It was my my first 50K. I picked that one specifically because it's in February. My birthday's on February 19th. So you'll see a pattern. A lot of my big races are usually around February. I love to celebrate my birthday doing epic things that I never thought I would do. So I think it's a great way to celebrate being alive. And so I did my first 50K, and I remember my friend Elaine, it was at Cave Creek, and my friend Elaine had taken some days off of work a few times and took me out on the course so I could go practice on the course a little bit. I remember that it was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. And I remember my knee was bugging me. I don't think I remember running as much mileage. And I remember thinking I needed to train better next time. And my knee was bugging me. And then lo and behold, I think I was texting Greg and some friends. My friend Susie, who swore she would never ever get on a trail, and who of course now is also a trail runner. I just remember her running up to me at the very end. I didn't think I was going to make it. I just wanted to be done. And there she is running in her, like, you know, jean shorts and whatever cute shoes. Maybe she did have some tennis shoes. I think she was the only one who did, and why she had to come and meet me. So some good memories around there. And I remember getting back and seeing Greg and my friends, which was awesome. My first 50K, 2014. Then one of my absolute favorite races, my second 50K, was McDowell Mountain Frenzy in 2015. I did that 50K, I think 3 different times. I haven't done it in a while because this happens to be a regular event that we do with the True Tribe. And again, this is another reason I love Aravaipa, is not only have I grown up with them, but I love to turn all my ladies onto trail running. And of course, we do Aravaipa races. So many of them have also done their first races and probably are working towards their 100 races with Aravaipa as well. But Frenzy is one of my favorites. It's a great first 50K. So I always have a program, a ladies training program for McDowell Mountain Frenzy every year, because it's a great, again, first 50K. And it's such a fun finish line because you get to see everybody coming in and you're just there hanging out. So we've been there pretty much every year for McDowell Mountain Frenzy. And then I had my first 50 miler, which was not an Aravaipa race, one of the few big ones, actually maybe the only one of my out of comfort zone. And that was mainly because I don't think there was one. I wanted to do it around my birthday, and I did the Antelope Canyon 50 miler, which was amazing. But I'm not going to get into that because that's not an Aravaipa race. But I did my 50 miler in 2016. Then, like I said, I swore I would never do any night trail running. Absolutely love night trail running. Adrenaline in 2016 was my very first night trail race, along with other friends. I think a lot of us were doing Running for Brews at that time, so a bunch of us went and did that. Baby G Growler is our Running for Brews mascot, so we took him out with us that night. And yeah, it was our very first night trail run, and we had such a blast. It was so much fun. You know, again, the Aravaipa community, and this was back in 2016, but you know, there's a DJ, you have a cool finish line, there's the beer garden. So it was just really one of our funnest experiences. And I remember, again, Elaine, who had more experience, had taken us out several times before that night trail run to get us really accustomed to being out on the trail and how to use the light properly. So again, I thought I'd never be doing that, and now it's my favorite way to run. Then I did my first Crown King that same year, and I do have my bib for that. My Crown King bib. I have a ton of bibs, as you've seen. I've kept, I think, all of them. I did not count them, but I have a lot of bibs. So Crown King, that was my first time, and just absolutely loved it. I've done Crown King now 5 times. It'll be 6 times next year. One of my favorite races. Again, we brought Baby G Growler. You can see that he was hanging out with Vipe Daddy, who is one of the Aravaipa mascots, I guess. And I think there we might have been at the Cleater Yacht Club. Crown King 50K. It's the only distance for that race. There's no other distances. But again, and I say this about all our Aravaipa races, anybody who knows me is like, okay, whatever. They're all my favorite. They are, again, the courses are always great, the community, the volunteers, the aid stations are stocked up, and the community, again, it's such a great company. But I love Crown King, Fort Misery aid station, where there's always a bunch of alcohol. If you choose to go that route, and then you stay the whole weekend. And Chris Warden started the Crown King Scrambled Breakfast. I can't remember when that started. But probably the following year after that or something. So that's still a tradition that we do. So very fun. So that same year in 2016 was actually my first experience out at the Javelina 100, at least pacing. I want to say I had volunteered the year before, maybe. I can't remember that right now, but at any rate, my friend Shane was doing his first 100K and he asked me to pace him, which was a blast. And back in 2016, I want to say things were still pretty lackadaisical at Javelina 100. I mean, remember at Jackass, it was like a party fest. Like there were just people everywhere. There was a lot of partying going on. And I feel that right now, I think those are still some little opportunities, but it's definitely not as insane as it used to be. Because, you know, the race can be hot. So it's fun to have a good time. I'm all about having a good time, but also making sure that you're staying safe and hydrated out there. But I remember thinking that when I did this loop with Shane, it was his last loop, that there was no way I would ever do Javelina. It just was not my type of race. I like point to points, Crown King, Black Canyon. Not a big loop person, although I have done them. Like everything else, never say never. They're not my favorite though. And again, because of the party atmosphere, I kind of like to party. I was afraid that I might not be able to hang with this race because I might get carried away or sidetracked. So I had written this race off. And then in that same year, later on, I did my very first Across the Years. Again, if you've never done Across the Years, that's a 1 mile loop. It's actually a 6-day race. It's been 10 days a few times. I think it's back to 6 days now. But you buy time basically and decide when, how long that you want to run and whatever distance you want to do. So it's great. It's self-paced. It's very safe. Again, a lot of fun. It could be very social. As a matter of fact, again, as I was going through photos and videos and all the things, here's a quick video that I can't remember who the videographer at the time was for Aravaipa, but he basically took this video of me talking on my first right here.
Well, hey, this is Lisa Pizzoni from the Running University. This is my first time doing Across the Years. Not my first time at the event, though. I want to say 3 years ago I came for the first time and did some laps with some friends. The year after I volunteered at the aid station at midnight on New Year's, which was awesome. And this year, I'm doing the same. I'm going to volunteer, but I decided, why not try this out? This seems like a fun idea. So how cool. It's a mile loop. You're out with friends. It can be social. It's you against the clock. So what could go wrong? Just come out, have a good time, beat your goal, don't beat your goal, meet with friends, hang out. Really, really cool. I'm actually looking forward to doing bigger goals next year.
And here also, Heather was with me, one of my friends as well, and a picture of Isla. If you've done any Aravaipa races, you know, in the last, I guess, 20 years, 10, 20 years, you've probably met Isla. Unfortunately, she passed away, but she was at Across the Years for sure and attended a lot of the Aravaipa races and is certainly missed. She always had great costumes on, and it was always just fun to hang out with and chat. Then it was time to try my first 100K, and I shouldn't have said try before this, but I had trained, I was ready. Black Canyon was finally going to happen. It was on my list. I had it on for 2017. It was on February 18th of 2017, which my birthday's on the 19th again, so I was like super excited to do this. And so if anybody remembers Black Canyon of 2017, or the Mudfest as we refer to it, it just got like super crazy. I do have my bib and it does say 100K on it, but unfortunately I had to cut out, which I really appreciate. The weather was going to be really bad that day and they had to pivot. I remember I was almost close to, I think it was Bumblebee, and I remember Synovia was coming back at me, and I think we were both planning on the 100K, and I was like, what are you doing? Why are you turning around? And she's like, oh, you'll find out soon. They're turning people around. And of course, sure enough, weather was bad. I get to the aid station, and they say that the race director is recommending at this point in time, because back of the pack, that the weather was getting worse and that they were expecting it to not be a good situation, that we should turn around. And I just remember calling Greg first. Again, my first 100K, I just want to finish. Greg said, I'll support you with whatever you decide to do. So then, of course, I called Elaine. Elaine and Lori were going to pace me. They're my regular pacers. And Elaine was like, do you want to do a shitty 100K, or maybe die? I don't know. Or do an okay 60K. So, of course, that right away, I turned around and I did the 60K. I appreciate that they didn't DNF us that time because it was a race call. But that was quite the experience. If you know me, I'm getting much better about running in weather. I normally don't like anything wet or muddy, and that one was insane. There was mud everywhere. It was a crazy race, but again, I lived through it. I'm still talking about it. So again, never say never. In 2018, and I don't remember which number 50K this was at this point, but I did the Coldwater. It might have been my first time doing the Coldwater 52K, not a 50K, but 52K. And my fun experience with that, if you check out this picture, I remember I was running with Nancy and a few other people, and Courtney Dauwalter was on the course. And I think she came by us once. And then when she was coming by us again, Nancy was like, can you take a picture with us? And so I can't believe it again. She's amazing, right? Like so humble. And again, this was back in 2018. I'm pretty sure she broke the course record. Even she stopped and took a picture with us, which was super cool. And I actually always appreciated that because I was able to reach out to her, and she also was able to come into our true tribe and be a guest speaker and chatted with us, which I so appreciate. And in 2018, again, here it is. I've got to get this Black Canyon thing. Like 100K is on my list to do. So here's the race bib. This was in 2018. My first 100K since the first one. I had to shorten it. So very cool experience. Absolutely loved it. Again, it was around my birthday. We had a party the next day. I was raising money for Girls on the Run. And it was just everything I expected it to be. Again, Lori and Elaine were pacing me, and it was just a blast. Got it done, and I just love the Black Canyon course. In 2019, I did my very first double down race, which was a night race, and then followed by a day race. That was the Blackout Night Run in Flagstaff and then Big Pine. I've actually done Big Pine every year. This might be the 5th or 6th year now. The only year I didn't do it was the year of COVID. So we had just started training. I was doing a ladies training program. COVID hit. They canceled the race, and we decided just to keep training. And as a matter of fact, we went up there and did the course on our own and had our own Big Pine. And then they rescheduled it. And then we went back up. They had to cancel it again, so it got rescheduled twice. And then we went back up and did our own thing again. And then by the third time they scheduled it, it was like Labor Day weekend. And at that point, I think I was just like, forget it, I'm not going. So I think that was the only time that I missed. Love going up to Flagstaff. Again, such a fun weekend. We usually get an Airbnb. We hang out for a couple of days, enjoy some of the cooler weather in Flagstaff. And then my first Jackass. This to me was one of the coolest things that was added to the Javelina 100 race. Jubilee Page is the race director, and I believe this was her idea, so sorry if I'm misspeaking, but I'm pretty sure. And because Javelina 100 is a 100-miler and 100K, it starts in the morning, and even though it's around Halloween weekend here in Arizona, it's still a warm weekend, so it's a tough race, mainly tough because of the heat, as a lot of people aren't used to it. So they added in the Jackass Night Trail Runs. Because Javelina is a looped course, at 6 o'clock at nighttime, they added in this loop where you get a bunch of people that do the 31K. They're all dressed up in Halloween outfits. They're all nice and fresh. So it's basically a way to pump energy into all the people who have been in the heat all day, dragging, and hopefully just giving them a little bit of energy. And I just love this. For all the reasons, but it's such a great way. If you're never going to do a 100K or a 100-miler, it's such a fun way to be able to be part of this event. And we usually dress up as a group, the tribe, but we've done this race ever since its inception in 2019. Here is the bib from the first one, and I love how usually you can customize your bib, and I usually put Coach Kool-Aid. That's kind of the funny joke with my people is I don't make them drink the Kool-Aid. I offer the Kool-Aid. I offer it maybe with a little bit of oomph, and a lot of times they like to drink it. So, and then of course in 2020, I just liked this bib because it has the jackass guy, giving the finger. In 2021, I went back and did Black Canyon again. That's because that year I was turning 50 years old. And I turned 50, and it was very important to me that I wanted to do, again, some more epic stuff. So going into that, I turned, and again, COVID was still happening at this time, so I couldn't have any pacers at this one, not until the very end. So at the very end, I had Henry and Laura were there. Henry was going to pace me. He wasn't able to, so Laura did for the last segment. And again, I had such a great race, felt really good on that one. And I shaved like 20 minutes off of my first 100K time. Again, I'm very, not very often trying to PR, but and I don't know that I think I was trying to PR that one, but not having race, not having crew did slow me down a little bit on that one. In July of 2011, it was my first time heading to Colorado to do the Silverton Marathon in Kendall Mountain. And Jan had come back from the year before saying it was an epic weekend. And of course, at this point, I'm training for Trans Rockies, so I needed elevation training. I needed some hard stuff, some altitude training. So did the marathon, and I had my first DNF, did not finish, and I had done a video about that, so you can check that out here. But since Trans Rockies was my A race and I'm afraid of heights, I got to a point at Kendall Mountain where I had to go over some parts that kind of were freaky to me. Again, it's all in the video. I basically said nope. So I DNF'd because I didn't do maybe like, I don't know, a quarter of a mile of the race, but I'm okay with it, totally fine. But that was my very first DNF. And then again, because this is my 50th year, so I turned 50 and I really wanted to celebrate being 50 and being able to do all these amazing things. Again, having a race company like Aravaipa to grow up with, having Chi Running and Chi Walking behind me as a way to make sure that I can keep my body healthy and be able to do this longer. I did my first night 50K that year in 2021. That was Javelina Hangover, and that was awesome. I did that with Sonia. Had a great time. Again, love night trail running now. And as a matter of fact, that was race number 99 for me. I just did that last month, and I talked about that with my PR in this video over here as well. And but then going into the 2022, I went at the end of the year on an epic event. So I did across the years 100 milers. So I signed up for 48 hours, which means I have 48 hours to finish my 100 miles. And I did it. I did I think I did 63 in one shot because I was trying to beat my longest, which was 100K, which was 62. So I did that, and then I went and slept for 4 or 5 hours and went back and finished the race in the allotted time and finished my first 100 going around in circles for 100 miles. And not the easiest thing to do. Again, I always say the more you can practice working on your mindset, that's going to also, it's like a muscle, so you keep getting better at doing anything that's hard. So as we're close to wrapping this up now, that's kind of my Aravaipa story. Just a couple of a few other things. So yeah, again, I said I would never do any of these things, and here I am. And I just feel so very blessed and lucky to be surrounded by such an amazing community. And I forgot about the virtual events. I'm not really big on doing virtual stuff, but I do remember doing, and I don't have the bib, but I do remember doing the Cocodona virtual. That was, I think, maybe the first one I did was Aravaipa Strong. So Aravaipa Strong was right when COVID came out, and again, I think everybody was worried about what was going to happen. We couldn't get together at races, what was going to happen to our favorite race company, and so happy that they were able to pivot. They started out the virtual, and we did Aravaipa Strong. I remember my tribe did it as a group. We went out to South Mountain, we did it together because we are Aravaipa Strong. Again, it's an amazing community. If you haven't done any of the races, you have to check them out. My favorite virtual race that I did was Every Damn Street. Completely surprised me. Again, it was during COVID, and I started doing it because I was going to be training for my 100 miler, which I ended up postponing because of COVID. And I needed to get some street miles in. I usually like to be on the road, but since Across the Years is a loop, and I signed up for Every Damn Street and basically agreed to do my zip code from September to the end of December. My zip code was 85283. And it was really cool because it really did keep me motivated. I love the concept behind it. You basically hit your entire community. So it was very fun to kind of be running in my community, and I pretty much completed about 90% of it. I want to say it was like 200 and some miles. I can't remember total. Again, I couldn't find all the things as I was preparing for this. But so many great memories that I just really am happy that I've had, and I'm so glad that I ran into Aravaipa. And one of the last pieces that I wanted to share is this hat. I don't know if anybody's going to see this, and if you're watching this, then comment about this hat. I don't remember. I had to buy it very close to the beginning. This is Aravaipa's old logo, and I love this hat because it says Cueva Ba, which I might be saying that incorrectly. We are one, and so true. Like, you know, we are a community together, runners, volunteers, the race community, Aravaipa community, just everybody who's I've ever been met through Aravaipa and that's been part of our community. Just a big thank you for being out there, and just super excited to see what else is going to come. Maybe I'll share some of that. I don't know. I've been saying it out loud. So my potential plan now is I'm doing Javelina 100K in next week. And actually funny, I was going to do the 100 miler. That was my original plan. And between Trans Rockies and just burning out, I just decided I didn't want to do all the mileage. So I decided against that, and that I would do Greg's idea was like, well, it's 100K. It's still 100. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll do the 100K. So I'm doing the 100K. And the next thing that I'm thinking about, and again, I'm one person to take this stuff and ease into it. As you can see, this story with Aravaipa started in 2011. We're now in 2023. So, and again, I'm at 100 Aravaipa races. So my potential plan, I'm saying it out loud, is Mount Eldon next year, which is 36 or 38 miles. It's the end of Cocodona. Oh my God, I totally forgot about my Cocodona experience. Started talking about that earlier. Please hold. So I did the virtual the first year. Actually, when Cocodona came out, it was the year I was going to turn 50, or the year before. And I wanted to do it so bad. I love our state of Arizona. The idea of crossing most of the state was so attractive to me. The trailer, but there was just no way. And one of the requirements was doing a 100 miler, which is why over this time I'm starting to dabble into the longer distances, obviously. So, and then that first year I did it virtually, but I was also very excited because I went to go volunteer, and Andre was doing it. It was the first year they did Cocodona, and he was at the back of the pack, didn't have a crew or pacer or anything. And while we were volunteering, Patty Curry had the most fabulous idea, since I was training for Trans Rockies, to go pace Andre for part of the Cocodona course, which was, again, another, I can't believe I almost forgot that, one of my favorite experiences. And so I had a chance to be part of that as a pacer. There's my bib. So, yes, back to my story. So, I'm thinking Mount Eldon next year, and then I'm thinking Sedona Canyons the next year, which is the second half of Cocodona, 125 miles. And then the following year would be Cocodona. So, and you know, a lot of people are like, oh, just do it. I know that it takes a long time to train for these events, and I want to do it the right way. I have a life. I have to make sure everything falls into place correctly. So, a little more planning. And but I'm super stoked, and hey, I know this was a long video, but hey, please subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be revamping with some new videos coming up, and if you have any fun Aravaipa stories or any memories or anything, feel free to drop them down in the comments, and hope to see you at an Aravaipa race.